Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about something very interesting, and I have two very special guests with me here. I'm going to be introducing them in a little while. I hope you watch the video till the end, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do consider subscribing. It doesn't take a lot of time and you can be notified every time I post new content, and that would be great if you are excited about sustainability, because I post a lot of content about sustainability. So yes, introducing my guests, this is Ashwin and this is Sujit. Can you guys please give a brief introduction of yourself to the audience who are seeing you guys for the first time?
Yeah, of course. Hi, my name is Ashwin. I did my bachelor's in electrical engineering and I'm doing my master's in sustainable energy technology in TU Delft. Before coming to TU Delft, I had a previous experience in public policy and energy efficiency. Thank you.
Hi, hello. I am Sujit. I am from Bangalore. I did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Bangalore itself, and I'm studying the same program as Divya.
Yeah. So if you guys don't already know, all three of us are studying the Sustainable Energy Technology Master's program in TU Delft. And today we are going to be taking a look at one of the subjects, which is renewable energy systems, that we did in the first quarter. And we are just going to give you guys a brief overview how we felt about the subject and what we took away from the subject, so that you guys also understand what it means to be doing a master's in sustainable energy. And if you are interested, you could also take it up on your own. So yes, let's move forward. So now I would like to ask you guys, what was your reason to pursue this program? Ashwin, let's start with you.
For me, I was already working in policy side of clean energy side. So I wanted to deep dive into the technology side as well as to know the more tools of energy policy side. So that's why I chose this track, and also because I feel that if you save energy, or if you deliver some clean energy projects, you are ultimately saving the lives of the people. So that's my motivation of joining this.
Cool, sounds intense. Yes, Sujit, you.
Yeah, for me it is a little different. I did not have the background for the program, but yeah, after my bachelor's, I think I started just reading about the whole sustainability thing in general, and I just got really curious about it. And yeah, it was something that I felt was sort of necessary to be done and something that I wanted to do. And I just picked energy because of my background in mechanical engineering. Was something that I could do. So I picked energy, and yeah, that's it. It's not something that I've done before, but yeah, it's just something that I decided to do later.
Okay, interesting. Very similar story to mine. Okay, so now we move forward with discussing what we have already studied, and we are going to talk about the different topics that we studied during the course. Before all of that, I would like to explain to you guys what the course is about. So basically, in the first quarter, we were given like a very brief overview of different renewable energy technologies in this subject, and we were also explained a little bit of background on why we really need the application of renewable energy. So talking about climate change and what it really means in terms of, what's going to happen to Earth, what different terrains are going to look like, etc. We're going to get into details now. So, and of course, I forgot to mention completely, the professor who taught us was one of the best professors that I have personally studied from. His name is Dr. Arno Smets. I'm going to be linking his YouTube videos and LinkedIn profile in the description box, so please do check him out. He is great at what he does, of course, because he's here at TU Delft, but also he's super interesting and fun as a person. So guys, we're going to start off with the first topic that we studied in the subject, which was called the planet. We discussed a bunch of different things. I'm going to be explaining very briefly what we studied. I have my notes ready and I'm going to explain everything that we did. but of course, we are also going to get back to Ashwin and Sujit, and they're going to explain what they really took away from that specific topic. So we studied radiative forcing, which is basically heating up of the atmosphere, heating up of the earth in general, how different terrains react to it, right? We also studied about desertification and urbanization, how it affects the overall weather patterns, the climate of planet Earth, and the rise in sea levels because of melting of ice caps, etc. We took a look into that as well. The global warming potential of different greenhouse gases, we even took a look at that. And then of course we concluded with a section on permafrost, which is basically ground that is below freezing point, which stores a lot of methane, and it is going to start melting soon, so there's a lot of stuff you need to process. So yeah, we took a look at all of these topics. Without going into detail about all of these topics, we'll just quickly sort of get to you guys and ask you what you took away from this topic, and that's going to be the trend for each topic that we're going to discuss, right? So we'll start with Sujit. What did you take away from this?
For me, I think the biggest takeaway is just the fact that there's so many factors at play. Like global warming, people think it's just about emissions and all of that, but no, it's beyond all of that. It's a lot of factors coming together that ends up becoming global warming or whatever. So it just helps you like appreciate the number of factors that are there and just take it seriously in a way, because the trends don't look very promising. But I think towards the end of this course, what we learned was the transitions and all of that are quite promising. I don't want to paint a very dark picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was my biggest takeaway.
Okay, great. And what was your takeaway, Ashwin?
Like Sujit mentioned, it painted a very scary picture for me. I was scared by looking at the rising ocean levels, rising desertification, rising temperature of everything. So I think the picture started with a dull image, but eventually we talked about other technologies and we got to know how we can tackle this. So I think this laid the foundation of the course, and we eventually built on it. And this was the biggest takeaway that for me was that you could see how the climate change is affecting everyone. So that was all.
Okay, great. I mean, not great, but yeah, okay, I understand. So those were their takeaways from the first topic that we discussed. I am going to try to leave as much information as I can in the description box below. So you can check it out, you can read up more on the topics that we are mentioning, the phenomenon we are going to be mentioning. And if you have any questions, I will also leave their LinkedIn profiles, if they're okay with it, in the description box. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of information in the description box this time. Please do check it out. And now we're going to move on to the second topic, which was energy use in transportation, right? So in this topic, we basically took a look at the energy that is being used in different modes of transportation, everything from aircrafts to even just running or bicycling, right? We found a very interesting trend. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody already kind of knew this, but it's good to see the numbers, do the calculations, and see the energy, the exact amount of energy that might be consumed by each method of transportation. So very briefly, of course, aircraft has the highest energy consumption per person, right? Then comes the passenger car, city bus, followed by the local tram/train, and the intercity train, and then high-speed train, and then there is running, which takes up lesser energy than bicycling. That was a little interesting for me. So now we're going to get back to you guys. Ashwin, what was your biggest takeaway from this topic?
For me, I think this gave a brief overview about how much energy per person per kilometer you can compare different modes of transportation across the arena, and you can compare how much energy intensive each transportation is. So it gave me an overview. If I want to change my lifestyle, so I could choose whether I have to take a train or aeroplane. So gave me a good perspective, and also it made me aware about the usage of energy. So it was nice experience. It was easy exercise, but it was a nice experience.
Okay. Yeah, what about you, Sujit? Do you have anything to add on?
Yeah, I think I agree with what Ashwin said. It was very interesting because it was very relatable, because transportation is something that all of us, we do travel. So just to get an idea of what impact different modes of transport has, I think gives like a very personal touch to it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was very interesting, and it's nice to know. I think the numbers, what you said, they're true, and I think it's mostly it's known to people. It's just
Yeah.
that we find it difficult to adopt it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And we studied transportation of persons also and goods also.
Yeah.
So there were that two types of transportation. So
Yeah.
it was nice.
Yeah. Okay. So from here we move on to the next topic, which is energy use in buildings. So this topic we basically discussed heating and cooling of buildings, what are the energy efficiency measures that one can take, right, while constructing buildings. Then we also took a look at energy use per apartment or home, and we discussed ventilation and also the power consumption by big data centers or by big facilities in general. So we did a few calculations on that as well. Basic physics, but yeah, it was interesting to put that to use, right? Any takeaways from this? Any one of you guys?
yeah, I think it was interesting. We explored some innovations, like for example, the double pane glass. We don't see how much potential it really has because it's just glass, right? But the fact that it's double pane improves the thermal insulation and can have very drastic effects on the energy consumption of a building, and especially in countries like probably the Netherlands, where heating of your room is a big thing because it gets quite cold, and you can have like huge savings just by having a double pane glass, and it's not a very big investment in itself. So I think that was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the heating, even in probably in India where we do have a lot of air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of these ideas can be implemented there, and it could have very drastic effects on your energy savings.
Okay.
Yeah, I also agree with Sujit. I think for me the insulation, different types of insulation, or the glass insulation of the glass and the insulation of bricks was very important for me to know. If I am in future, if I am designing a building, I will keep in mind these pointers and I will design accordingly. Also the infiltration means how much air is leaking, it's also important. We don't want more air to leak from outside or from outside to inside. So these were all good points. And also how to design a building according the cooling load of a building. Also we discussed about that.
Mm-hmm.
How much energy consumption taking into account. So it was a nice experience.
Okay, cool. So from here we move on to the fourth topic, which was energy use in industries. So I'm very poor at chemistry, so this was not one of my favorite topics. Let's just stop at that. But we did discuss very briefly about how different factories basically function, the energy consumption, and the energy efficiency that we get out of those factories. We took a look at obtaining iron from iron oxide through a blast furnace, and then also took a look at how different materials are produced basically, and what was their energy consumption. So yes, any takeaways from that?
For me, the industry session was a little complicated because there was lot of processes, there are lot of chemical reactions, and it is usually the most energy intensive sector, and it's very difficult to decarbonize. So it's a very important sector that we must know. And the professor Arno suggested some tricks also to how to make the process more efficient, and so it was an eye opener for me. And also we studied two processes basically, I think, getting iron from iron oxide through blast furnace, and smelting of aluminium also. So it was nice to remember, to know about these experiences and know about these processes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would like to add something to that. So yeah, as he said, the industry is like probably like the most energy intensive sector. But so what calculations we did was how much energy goes into, let's say, making aluminium, steel or cement. I think most people forget that there's a lot of energy that goes into just making products, which is kind of ignored. But just the choices that you make with respect to what you buy and which industry you get your whatever your products from, I think has a very huge impact that most people don't consider, and that's quite important. That was a quite important takeaway for me.
Yeah. So just adding on to what Sujit said, I think that was a very important point that we took away, and I personally took away. Different materials and their energy consumption basically while they're being produced. So I'll just give you like a brief overview of the materials that we discussed and the order in which the energy consumption depends on. So basically cement it was the most energy consuming material that we discussed. Then it was followed by ammonia, and then aluminium, plastic, steel, and then ultimately paper. So basically paper had the least amount of energy consumption. Something that you might need to know. So there's that.
And
Now
also
yeah.
the efficiency of these process is very less
Yeah.
than 50% something. So it's very
Yeah, so we took a look at that, and I think it was a great insight into industries and the energy use. So yes, now moving forward, topic 5 was energy balances, something that I really enjoyed. I think it was something new, and it really gave me an insight into what policymakers generally use as a tool. And it was always a question mark in my head, so I really enjoyed this part. And also I think it was a little bit easy, so maybe that's why. But yeah, so basically in energy balances, we took a look at the total final consumption of different sectors across any economy, any country. And we also took a look at the total primary energy supply, which is basically where your energy is coming from, the different fuels where your energy is being supplied, which forms it is being converted into, how you're using it. So it's basically like this big table where you have these numbers for different aspects, and I'm going to try to include a picture on the screen so you guys can take a look at it and understand a little bit better of what we're trying to say. So yeah, so there were a bunch of numbers, and how those numbers basically correspond to policy making, or how small changes, or how we can set targets in the future, how those climate goals that different countries are setting, where they originate from, what they are based on. I think it gave great insight into that. So yeah, any takeaways for you guys?
Yeah, I think just to give like a very basic idea of what it is, I think it's maybe like very similar to like a balance sheet of a company, where I'm sure every company has it, where the money is going, right? But this is not about money, but about energy. So you try to look at each sector and find out where the energy is going. But yeah, it's very similar to the balance sheet of a company, I would say, just to give a very
Very interesting point.
Yeah.
I should have thought of it, but I didn't.
it's a very unique comparison.
Yeah.
And as you explained, I think you explained everything. Just one point was that it also gave us the future projections. You can increase 1% increase in cars. How much energy will increase?
Yeah.
If you increase 1% energy efficiency, then how much energy will reduce in 20 years?
Yeah.
So these were very important, because in every sector, the government policy maker can see that if I increase 1% energy efficiency in transport or in industry, something like that, or in buildings, how much energy I could save. So
Yeah.
it gave us a good perspective from the policy side of the things.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that those were just the takeaways that we had from this topic. And then we had lots of topics on or different chapters, let's say, on different renewable energy technologies. Everything from hydroelectricity to solar to wind, biomass, etc. So I'm not going to be taking, actually let's say we are not going to be taking a look at it today, because these technologies are, they can be a podcast in themselves, let's say. I'm just fishing for content here, so I'm not going to discuss that just yet, because we are also learning about these technologies in greater detail. From quarter 2 onwards, we have chosen our tracks. We are studying each technology. We are learning about different aspects of the technology. So I feel right now is not the best time to discuss these technologies, because we don't really know everything about it. So we are just going to sort of skip past this, but just to mention, yes, we did study about this.
Something for a future podcast.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so then the next topic that we would like to discuss today is energy efficiency. Right? We took a look at energy efficiency, and I don't really have any points here because it was just a very brief overview of different energy efficiency techniques that may be used. Any takeaways from this, or?
For me personally, I feel energy efficiency and energy conservation are very important tools for reaching the climate goals.
Mm-hmm.
Energy conservation you can do by switching off any light.
Yeah.
Or your energy efficiency, you can change TFL lights with LED, or you can use high COP air conditioners, heaters. So energy efficiency, you don't have to do much. You just have to make a behavioral change. You can, from today, I can pledge that I will choose energy efficient products.
Yeah.
So I can make an impact on the environment by doing this, or I can say that I won't use train. I will use the bicycle.
Yeah.
So for me, these small things matter, and it was a good, and by calculating how much energy I can save through using these exercises or using high COP air conditioners. So it gave me a factual data that I could reduce so much energy footprint of mine.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I think I agree with whatever Ashwin said, but I think when you're talking about like the total energy consumption of a country and something like that, I think even like very minute gains that I think it's very minute can have like very huge impacts. It can lead to big changes in the emissions and so on.
Yeah.
So I think it was very interesting, and I think efficiency is going to be like a very big part in the transition.
Yeah, it is. So then we also discussed about energy storage. So this is a very, very important topic in itself, and we have this as a track. We're not going to discuss it in too much detail because, again, like I said, we are also learning about this in depth. But we took a look at different storage technologies that exist and different ways in which we can actually store energy. There's a lot of innovation happening in this field because we need storage when it comes to renewable energy, right? So we took a look at flywheels as a storage option. We took a look at pumped hydropower plants, right? And we also took a look at compressed air energy storage, batteries, capacitors, etc., etc. So we just took a look at these technologies. Any takeaways from this?
Yeah, I think storage is going to be very pivotal in the transition because renewable energy is an intermittent energy. You don't have control over when the sun shines or when the wind blows.
Yeah.
So storage becomes very important, and I think that is probably one of the things that needs a lot of research and a lot of work in the coming years. But it was very interesting just to have like a very broad view of what all kinds of storage are there, because we tend to mainly associate with batteries when we talk about energy storage, but there are other things as well that are being explored, which obviously Divya mentioned. And it was very interesting to just get like a very broad perspective on storage.
For me, I don't remember much of the topic because it has been 1 month. And so basically all the things which Divya mentioned are very important, and storage I think will be most important because, as Sujit mentioned, for the intermittency of renewable energy, for a clean energy targets you need batteries and other storage storage also. So I think it was the most key takeaway that you have to work on batteries and other storage activities.
Okay. The last topic that we did and that we studied was called the energy transitions, right? Here in this topic we discussed how different energy technologies are going to grow in the future, how they've grown so far, and what is the basic trend that they follow, right? There's a period of exponential growth, and then there's a period of saturation, etc., etc. Without getting into too many details, we took a look at the different phases in which an energy technology grows, basically, right?
Yes.
Any takeaways from this?
For me, energy transition, it was a new topic for me. I didn't have any idea about it.
Yeah.
So it just talked about, like you mentioned, first the technology grows in exponential way, then it becomes linear, then it saturates. So there are 3 stages of development of technology. So it was nice to see that, and what steps we can do to accelerate this progress. And Professor Arno also said that no technology can grow in a linear way, because then economics of investment on that technology won't be feasible.
Okay.
So this was a very good topic, that you can't say that in 10 years I want to become fully renewable. You can't do that. You have to start gradually with exponential, then linear, then it will become saturated. So now I think hydro is becoming saturated, but there are other technologies which are still growing, like solar and wind, and in 10-20 years they might saturate.
Yeah.
Only my personal views, I don't know.
Yeah, to add on to that, for me personally, I think I was very skeptical just about renewable energy in general. I never thought, because just if you're talking about replacing the entire whatever we have with renewable, it's going to take time. I was very skeptical, but I think the trends, if you see, are quite promising. As Ashwin spoke about, there's like a certain pattern to most technologies, how they emerge and how it gets adopted by people. I think, renewables are still in a very early stage, but if you look closely at the trends, I think it's quite promising, and it's very interesting to look at the trends. So for me, I'm not skeptical anymore as I was, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, I really appreciate the way it was laid out, or how all the topics are laid out. We start off with something very grim, and then towards the end we are just talking about how the future of energy technologies looks like. And to me it gave a great understanding of what I already knew, right? It took that into more detail, and also just gave me a fresh perspective, I would say, right? So that was just about everything that we studied. Now we are going to ask Ashwin and Sujit what their greatest takeaway from the course was. Like I already mentioned mine, now they're going to talk about theirs.
Yeah, if I have to pick a module that probably interested me the most, or like which I had a lot of something to take back, I would say the last one about energy transition. As I said, even when I took the program, I was initially very skeptical about it, but something I wanted to like try and do it, but I did not. I was very skeptical, as I said. But I think there is like a pattern to a lot of change that you see in general, and when you like study it, I think even though right now it might not look so look like it's possible or whatever, but I think it's quite promising, and I think that module really sort of changed my perspective on a lot of things. So I think that was the most interesting thing that I would take back from this course.
Okay, what about you, Ashwin?
For me, I think it was I like the thing. It's the way it started. Means it first identified the problems, the issues we are facing. So it was great that we first identified the climate change issues, and then we say the solutions. So first we have to accept that climate change is there. So that was a great realization. I knew that climate change was there, but it was a great realization to see in the numbers. It really affected me to the core of my heart, that there are ocean levels are increasing by 10-20 meters, and carbon dioxide is increasing, temperature will increase. So it really affected to my body, because we are saying that it will increase, how much it will increase, and we did the calculation. When you are doing calculation by hand and you are arriving at 3.6 degree, it will happen. It's very it's very scary. So I like that part. And one more thing I liked about that, all the tasks which were done in this course were all practical. Were all practically implemented technologies or something. You are taking industry, the professor is taking the actual case scenario of industry, actual case of industry in Netherlands, data steel, something like that, or a building or a data center. So he's taking actual cases, and you are doing some back of the hand calculations, and you are taking assumptions, but you are arriving at these numbers. So you are actually getting a real number. So for me, it mattered that we are solving some practical things, not some theoretical in the way. So that was my key takeaways.
Great. I think those were my takeaways as well, but they put it better. So now we're just going to move on to the next section of the podcast, which is going to be a word association game that we're going to play with these guys. I am basically going to give you one word each, right? You don't know these words. I haven't told you these words before, right? And you have to instantly tell me what comes to your mind when you hear that word. So that's the word association game. it might be related to sustainability or it might be related to anything really, right? And we'll go one by one. Both of you are going to get unique words. So just be quick, let it be impromptu, let it be fun. And
I didn't even know about this game. You should have told me earlier.
yeah, that was the point of not telling you guys from before. Otherwise, you would have like prepared answers and it would have been very mechanical. Anyway, so let's start. I'm going to start with you. Try to be as quick as possible, okay? Looking at his
I'll try. Not going to promise anything, but I'll try.
Yeah, okay. So
Don't copy my answers.
now I'm going to ask you different words. So
Okay.
yeah, you're like there's going to be no cheating. It's a proctored exam. Okay, let's start. Ashwin, what comes to mind when I say the word sustainability?
Please.
Okay. Donald Trump.
It's controversial, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Just one word. Just say whatever comes to mind. Like the word.
Anti-sustainable.
Okay. Climate change.
Scary.
Okay. Masters.
Lot of work.
Okay. Paris Climate Accord.
Optimism.
Okay. Studying abroad.
A lot to learn apart from just the studies. It's not a one word, but yes,
It's fine. Yeah, I'll do. Renewable energy.
Renewable energy. Blue. Something blue. Blue and green.
Okay.
I don't know.
Carbon neutrality.
Wait.
It's fine.
I don't know. What do I say about carbon neutrality?
What comes to mind?
For me, it is coming carbon dioxide symbol.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess.
For me, it's ambitious. I feel carbon neutrality is ambitious.
Yeah, it is.
Nice.
It is. Yeah. So, and then I'm just going to give you the last word as well because you did very poorly in the last word.
Yeah.
Okay. Delft. What comes to mind?
Biking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. That was the wrap of our game and the wrap of our podcast as well. If you guys have any final words you want to say.
Yeah, I think it was a really fun experience. It was really new for me just talking to a camera, and the entire experience was something very new to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something really fun, and I really like what you guys doing. Just trying to get a lot of different perspectives on sustainability. I think that's very important because like one person doesn't know everything and cannot capture the entire idea of sustainability. So yeah, I appreciate what you guys doing. It's really fun. I hope you guys like it. Yeah.
I also second Sujit because it's good that it gave me an opportunity to reminiscence the renewable energy once more. And during the course of this talk also some doubts of me also got cleared. So I'm thankful to you. But it's a very good strategy that you are doing, that you are at least taking a dialogue, because something I know, something you know, but we don't know everything.
Yeah.
So it's a very good thing, and it's also important now. So I think you are reaching to general masses also. Hopefully everyone sees this and gets inspired and do sustainability more into their common life. So I think thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to you. Thanks a lot to Delft and to the Professor Arno sir, Arno also for teaching us this fabulous.
I would have to say that I loved Professor Arno Smets because he's just this fun. He has this buoyancy in his personality. You always see him smiling, even just walking around the campus. It's always nice to see him, and he's very friendly. He's very nice, very warm. He's so far been my favorite professor. Don't tell anybody, but yeah. Thank you so much for the very positive feedback. With that, we are going to conclude the podcast, and I'm going to request you guys to please like, share and subscribe to my channel. I want to do a lot more content and basically help you guys also on your sustainability journey. And see you guys later. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.